All right, follow-up question. We alluded to this person before, but Kyle Shanahan. Will Kyle Shanahan have a bounce back season this year? I feel like last year was one of his worst years ever, and it wasn't just like, I mean, in every way. Uh, the leadership from the Ricky Pearsall stuff early on to the politics to the fight to Devondre Campbell, it just felt like he was detached the whole season and still kind of in a cloud and a daze from losing the Super Bowl, which I semi understand, but that's over with now. So,
Yeah.
from a leadership standpoint, from an offensive play calling standpoint, will he have a bounce back season?
Leadership, I would say not really, but I mean, outside of maybe being more optimistic, at least early off, if everyone stays healthy. Because I think those vibes that he was putting off affected the whole team. I kind of see it in the body language of Kyle and everybody on the team. So, from a leadership standpoint, maybe. From an offensive play calling standpoint, I would assume so. He's had the entire offseason, no playoffs. That's 2 extra months for him to relax and then come back and get excited again about coaching football. He didn't seem like real thrilled to be out there last year. It looked like he was burnt out after the Super Bowl loss. It's his 3rd Super Bowl loss, once as a coordinator, twice as a head coach. It's gotta be hard on him, but now he's had some time to relax, recuperate, and hopefully he's learned things. Um, you can't count on Christian McCaffrey to bail you out. Like, there was an article, I forget who wrote it, talking about how Christian just opened up the entire offense for Kyle Shanahan. Those are Kyle Shanahan words. Like, Christian opens up our offense. So I think he relied on Christian, and that was his crutch. But last year, he saw what happens if he doesn't have him, and he can't come into this season just relying that Christian's going to be healthy. And if he doesn't, we're screwed. He can't have that mentality. His mentality has to be like, hopefully Christian's good, but if he's not, I got a plan for that. And so I do think he'll have a bounce back season. I think he'll be more prepared and more rejuvenated.
Yeah, it seemed like he was he seems like the kind of guy who doesn't adjust that quickly. Like, we've seen it if Deebo goes down mid-game, Kyle's like, "Oh, that was my whole game plan. I don't know what to do. I'll figure it out
Right.
on Tuesday." Like, nah, but that's him, right? And with Christian, it felt like the plan was to use Christian as much in 2024 as they did in 2023. And surprisingly or not, right before the season started, he went down for like the whole year. And it seemed like Kyle didn't adjust the offense, didn't do anything didn't have any fresh, cool ideas. It seemed like he was just caught off guard. Get started at factormeals.com/cone50off and use code cone50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. So he can't have that. I mean, like, he doesn't have that excuse this year. You get an extra month to prepare. Debo's gone, so you don't have him pressuring you to give him the ball. You don't have that like red herring to chase. Like, no, forget, you're not resuscitating his career. He's gone. Christian is back, but you also know what happened last year, and you know that if you overuse him, that the team is screwed, and you're trying to prepare for like a way to still use him, but probably not as much. So I
Yeah.
think you're right. Like, he should have more than enough time to build a new offense, a new plan that's best for this group in 2025. And I'm like confident that he's going to do a good job with that.
And I think the Deebo thing is huge. Having Deebo not there is
Yeah.
is gonna change this offense completely, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, they're gonna rely on Christian if he's healthy, but Kyle's Deebo Kyle's opinion of Deebo was off. I don't know if it's based on the past or his relationship, but he really treated Deebo like he was better than he was last year, and you saw it in the production. So having him gone takes away that possibility, which is gonna open up things, hopefully, for this offense. I feel like this offense under Kyle Shanahan has always done better when they have these games. They'll have these games 2 or 3 times a year where the ball gets spread around almost evenly to where, like, 6, 7 different receivers are getting involved. Uh,
Mhm.
that's when they are at their best. When it's just like a whole Debo game plan, when he was in his
Or
prime, it was
McCaffrey.
fantastic. It worked. But over the last couple of years, it just doesn't seem to be working the same way. So I think that's one reason to think that Kyle could have a bounce back season this coming.
And this was a long time ago, but again, remember 2019, the first year they made their run, Christian McCaffrey was coming off a torn ACL. And it was not a given that the Niners were going to be the best team in the NFC that year. They like Kyle and Mike McDaniel needed to build a whole plan to keep Jimmy healthy and to get the ball out of his hands. And they did a great job. The two of them. I mean, Jimmy didn't have to do that much that year. He stayed healthy. They won a bunch of games. And there were like a million different ways to get the ball out of his hands really fast. And it
Yeah.
felt like opposing defenses, their heads were spinning. They didn't know where the ball was coming from, who was going to run it. And I'd like to see Kyle show that he can do that without Mike McDaniel. I mean, the last couple of years, what you did was give the ball to Christian as much as possible. And when you weren't giving it to Christian, give the ball to Deebo. And then Brock would sometimes, you know, go off script and give the ball to someone else when you didn't call, but like essentially it was the Christian and Deebo show. That's over with. So what's your new idea? It's not give the ball more to 32-year-old George, probably. I mean, you've always been kind of leery of overusing him. There's only so much you can do with Jawan Jennings. What's the new wrinkle going to be? I'm sure you got one, and I'm excited to see it because I feel like the season depends on it.
I think they're gonna try to make it Ricky. I think that's what they're gonna try to do. I mean, he was their first round draft pick last year, and they have to replace Ayuk, because he's not gonna be there. And honestly, I don't think they see a long term future with Ayuk. Could be wrong. He could bounce back and be with the Niners for life. Who knows? But that's just my intuition, my gut right now. So I think they want to prove that drafting Ricky in the first round last year was not a mistake and that it was the right decision. And I'm sure they probably like him. So we'll see what happens. But I think Ricky's probably heavily in the plans for the 49ers.
I agree. I just think the problem is that the Niners passing game is like I mean, it's predictable. Like I think everyone knows, even with Brock, he's different than Jimmy, but with the way Kyle calls plays, he's still going to be calling the play action pass with the dig route over the middle. Like that's the whole basis of the passing game. And they're going to do that a lot. And they're going to force those throws in there. And those are risky throws because you're thrown into traffic, over linebackers, in front of safeties. If you're off a little bit, if you misread it, you turn your back, you come back, pick. So I'd like to see him mix it up more. Like, I feel like Ben Johnson and Liam Cohn and some of these younger guys have sort of taken what Kyle have done and added to it, and he's been a little stale. A lot of people have good play action passing games, but they can add a screen component to it as well, like Sean Payton and Andy Reid and Mike McDaniel. Like Mike McDaniel isn't a good head coach. Like I don't think anyone respects him on his team. I'm sorry. I like Mike McDaniel. Maybe I'm wrong. He doesn't come across as a strong leader. But his playbook kicks fucking ass, dude. He makes Tua look good. He makes things really easy for Tua. Come on, Kyle, you can do that too, right?
I think Mike
Tua.
McDaniel's an offensive coordinator. I really think that's
Yeah.
where he belongs. Kyle really too, honestly. I think
Mm.
if I'm being real, so I don't know. I'm hopeful that Kyle comes with some creativity. Hopefully, he brings in some from some of the coaching staff that have come here, and he's going to have to because you don't have Deebo Samuel. I'm so glad that wide back yes is over with because that was a nightmare watching Deebo Samuel play running back last year and even towards the end of year prior. So yeah, man, I think Kyle's going to have to do something new if he wants to compete. If not, it's going to be bad.
You said you think it's gonna be Ricky. My bold prediction is that the young player, the new element, the most effective new wrinkle that Kyle's gonna have to figure out how to use
Watch
is Garendo.
Brendo. Yeah.
Garendo.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he does have a lot in common with Raheem Mostert. I think I see the vision there. He's as fast as Mostert. He's bigger than Mostert. He's not going to be the running back that Christian McCaffrey is. He doesn't have the vision or the ability to make people miss. But in this system, he's going to have some big plays every once in a while, which is going to keep his yards per attempt up. And I think what's really cool about Garendo, even maybe cooler than what Mostert gave you, is the potential as a receiver. I think they kind of tapped into it late last season. You could see he's a terror on wheel routes. He's really fast. He's built like a wide receiver, and he has that experience.
Yeah.
Um, I think he could be the new home run hitter in the offense that Deebo was a few years ago. Guy who could
I
score
would
from anyone.
man, he didn't get a ton of play last year,
Right.
but I bet you if you looked at big play per snap,
Mhm,
if that's a statistic,
mhm.
big play per snap, I bet you he's up there towards the top because it seemed like he didn't get a lot of love, but when he did, it was big play after big play. The thing with him is concerning is health. Like, going to be able to stay
Yeah.
healthy. That's my issue with Isaac is he runs so high. He doesn't have a low pad level, and he gets injured quite a bit. I'm hoping he can lower that pad level and stay healthy because, like you said, phenomenal athlete. That's always just been the issue for him, and that's why Christian is so important for Isaac. I would love to see Kyle Shanahan come in and do a 1-2 punch with those guys, like you're talking about in the beginning of the show, because I don't think either one of those guys should be shouldering the burden entirely on themselves based on their history.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's kind of a good situation for both of them. The fact that they're teammates. Like, Christian shouldn't be a bell cow anymore, and Garendo hasn't ever proven that he can be that. So,
Yeah.
isn't it great that they get to potentially keep each other fresh? I mean, what is wrong with that? Look what Tampa did last year
Mhm.
with Bucky Irving and Rashad White. Look what Detroit did last year with Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. Why can't I understand if you feel you have a Hall of Fame running back, it's Derrick Henry, it's Saquon Barkley, fine. But it's 29-year-old Christian McCaffrey coming off a disaster season. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You gotta be safe here, and your backup is the most explosive player on your team. Like, Kittle's great, Juwan's great, but Garendo's the guy that's gonna replace Deebo. That we're on the 15, it's 3rd and 27. How are we gonna get this? Well, maybe the screen to that guy.
Would you be super surprised if Jordan James is the leading rusher for the 49ers this year?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I like Jordan James. I mean, Christian's got an injury history. Garendo's got an injury history, and what I'm excited about is his role as a receiver in the offense. I think he'll break down if you give him too many carries, but Jordan James isn't going to break down. That looks like the kind of guy that could be, that could play 17 games, run the ball 200, 250 times. I
Yeah.
think he's gonna be really good, and I think he's gonna if Christian fades away this year, next year, he could be the one who ultimately becomes a starter, and Garendo's that, explosive change of pace guy.
Yeah, and that's, knock on wood, hopefully Christian stays healthy, but if he doesn't for some reason, I hope that's what they do is Jordan James and Garendo are sharing snaps, not just Isaac Garendo, because I just don't think he's an every down back. He's a incredible weapon. I just don't think he's a every down back.
I mean, Mostert wasn't a starter on the Niners, and when they
Yeah.
finally made him a starter, he broke down. So, kind of an interesting parallel there, but I remember what I wanted to say about Christian earlier, about a half hour ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't that brilliant, and plus, I'm just repeating what Bill Simmons said, but he made an interesting point a while ago on the Breakfast Club. He said that, running backs are kinda like porn stars. The shelf life isn't great, kinda when the wall hits, it hits hard,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Wow. I'm
So,
not oh, yeah. Hey, not gonna touch it,
not
but
gonna touch it.